Okay, we're recording.
Hello there. It's been a while.
It's been such a long time.
It's been at least 7 weeks.
Do you think we even still have listeners?
Yeah.
Probably
like 5 people maybe. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
It's probably just our friends. Thanks for holding on, guys.
Yeah.
We'll text them after and be like,
we have one.
Listen.
It's fine. It's all good.
All right.
So why have we been missing?
So much has happened since we last recorded.
Excuse me.
It is currently January 22nd.
Yeah, 22nd.
That's kind of cool. 2/2/2020. I am very delirious. This is Michaela speaking. Very delirious because I had a baby and I'm exhausted.
Yes.
The baby has been here for 3 weeks and I am exhausted. I don't think we should reveal the gender of the baby yet.
Okay.
We're going to do our best.
Okay.
To not reveal it.
I think that's a good idea.
Because the question was if it was a boy or a girl.
Right.
So
we'll try not to.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, so the last time we did a podcast, we were talking about that we were going to see Gabby.
Yeah.
And we said, like, you might not hear from us, or you may.
Yeah.
Because you might have a baby.
Right.
So we went to Toronto.
Yes.
And
Happy New Year, by the way, everybody.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Okay.
Yeah, so it was early December that we did this trip to Toronto, and so we were gonna spend one night there, and because your due date was pretty close to us going.
No.
Oh,
it was the Ouija due date.
The Ouija. That was another topic I wanted to talk about. The Ouija board.
I know. That has to be a whole other thing.
Okay, we'll talk about the Ouija board later.
Yeah.
Anywho, the Ouija board said that your due date was
December 10th.
December 10th.
So
and the show was at 7th.
The 7th, yeah.
Yeah, so we were like, so we get to Toronto. We went to the
Home Alone
concert, which was really nice.
Amazing.
And then we went to the Gabby show, which was her basically promoting her book, really, is what it was.
Yeah, it was a book tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Micki, what happened when we went to that?
I have so many mixed emotions about this event because and I don't want to say this as a slight to Gabby because I don't feel like I know her well enough to make a judgment.
Okay.
Let me just say that first and foremost. I haven't bought all the books and listened to all the podcasts, so I'm not an expert on this
person.
Is it Gabrielle Bernstein?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I don't even know her name.
We went to this thing and we have no really. You're right though. We did go to this book tour and we don't. Other than the topic.
Yeah. Exactly.
And her.
And she's about manifestation, and that's what this podcast is about, and everything that we're trying to do. So
exactly.
I wanted to give this gal a chance.
Right.
But even showing up to this event, I just felt like I was surrounded by high school socialites in leopard print and Botox. It just felt like a lot of superficiality or something. I don't know. And then the actual opening experience was super cool because she did this it was in a theater, and there's all these women, and we did this giant group meditation.
That was really cool.
So cool. You could feel the energy.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was overwhelming. I cried within the first 10 seconds of her starting it because it was so powerful and so overwhelming to be in such a large group of people that were all meditating.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. Anyway, so in this group meditation, I started getting Braxton Hicks contractions.
She asked us to talk to somebody. Didn't she ask us to talk to a spirit guide or something like that?
I don't know.
And then your baby came through?
Well, what happened was she told us to focus on what we're trying to manifest.
Okay.
That was the first thing. And so the first thing that popped up for me was trying to manifest a VBAC, a natural VBAC, right? Mm-hmm. So I was just visualizing like the baby coming out and putting the baby on my chest, and I just instantly started crying with that visualization, and then all the people around, and then the contractions started.
Oh, you started having contractions.
Yeah. I've been having Braxton Hicks like all through the pregnancy. That wasn't weird. It was just that they were regular and they were getting so strong that I had to like focus on them. And it was freaking me out. And then I had to use the washroom. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go into detail.
Right. You had to
empty my bowels.
Yeah, get rid of things.
Which normally is a sign of labor.
Right.
So I had to leave the show.
Yeah.
And then come back. And I was like trying to pay attention through the contractions, but like that's not easy. And so I finally just leaned over and was like to both Sam, and our mom was with us, and I was like, I want to go home. Mm-hmm. We have to go home. We booked like an Airbnb, like we were supposed to stay the night in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, we gotta go. I gotta go. So we did.
And obviously, like, you going through this, I'm super aware that you're going through this. So I'm not paying attention to what she's saying. Yeah. Like, I mean, I got the gist of it, but I was just, like, not present, you know? Like, I just wasn't there. And
well, and, like, I just, as a side, I wasn't really picking up what she was putting down. And I don't know if that was because it was through contractions or because I just wasn't picking up what she was putting down.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't a fan of the style, like the way it was presented, and I felt it was a little bit insecure / conceited, which I think those two things go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. So I don't know,
but I think
it just rubbed me the wrong way.
I think that that's okay. Like I think I had said this to you. You know, like there's a huge array of different people spreading these messages, and she has an audience that really responds to this, right? And like we're into the same topics, and like we really like what the message that she is sending. We really like that.
Absolutely.
But maybe it's just the way that it's being presented, or it's just the style. It's just like not our cup of tea.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So
it works for some people and not for others. And
right.
It just clearly is showing me I'm a big Abe fan. I just want Abe.
Yeah.
I just trust Abe. I want Abe all the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had to leave early, which was during the Q&A thing, so it wasn't really during her like presentation.
No, yeah.
But still, that was really interesting too, like people talking to her about getting experience and stuff. I don't know. It was interesting all around.
It was good. It wasn't, but yeah.
If she's your cup of tea, this is no slight to you at all.
No, of course not.
It's just it didn't vibe with me. So we left early and had to walk back to the hotel and get all of our stuff and then drive back. It was a very quiet drive back to Kingston.
Yeah, it was like
from Toronto,
which is, I don't know, 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
of silence.
No music, just me with the. No, you had the contraction app in the front seat of the car, and I was in the back, like counting.
Yeah.
I would just reach up and tap her when it started and tap her when it stopped.
Yeah.
But it would change if I laid down. They got better when I laid down. Which, again, that shouldn't matter. Like, the position that you're in shouldn't matter if you're in actual labor.
Right.
It'll just get stronger no matter what you do.
Right.
So the fact that it was changing, I was like, I'm not trusting this yet.
Right.
And, like, you were asking, you know, like, should we text everybody? And I'm like, not yet, because it's not.
Doesn't feel like
it. Doesn't feel like it yet. Like, even though they're regular and they're intense, they're not getting worse.
Right.
So we just have to kind of go with it. I had these Braxton Hicks contractions for strong like that for like 3 days. I'm chalking it up now to dehydration. I think just doing things in Toronto and like not paying attention, not having as much water with me. I think that's what happened. So I continued to have those not as regular, but still regular, strong Braxton Hicks contractions for 3 weeks, which sucked. Like working through them, that was really hard. Like driving through them, like it's like this is distracting.
Yeah.
But it was, you know, quote unquote, like kind of like early labor, like to have them that long.
Right.
Which makes sense now it makes sense as to how my labor actually went.
Right.
Which I guess we could skip to.
We can.
Because we had Christmas.
Yeah.
All through Christmas. We had Christmas at our house, which is really small and crammed, but we had to stay close to the hospital because having a VBAC, the midwives weren't comfortable doing a home birth, so I had to be at the hospital, which is fine.
Maybe you should just say what a VBAC is, just in case people...
Vaginal birth after C-section.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Vaginal birth after C-section. This is like somewhat of a side note, but I tried to have a natural birth with my first, with my son, firstborn, and it didn't go according to plan. We tried a home birth, and we didn't know that he was breech, and so we had to go to the hospital and have a C-section, and sucked. Recovery sucked, blah, blah, blah. So they recommend waiting 18 months between a C-section and a VBAC. But this second baby had different plans because we got pregnant 16 months. The due date was 16 months difference. So that was not part of the plan at all. Just kind of
which weighed on your mind because you definitely wanted to have a VBAC and to get pregnant risk. As soon as you did. Might have reduced that chance for you. Yeah. Which was
it's high risk.
Right. Yeah. Which definitely had to play in your psychology.
Yep. Yeah. There's a lot of things that had to play. This whole labor thing, the whole labor prep, I actually did a program. It's called Love Your Labor. It's with Corinne Brown. If you haven't heard of it and you're interested in natural labor, I highly, 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 highly recommend this program. Yeah. I can't say enough good things about it. Anyway, she did a post on social media a couple months ago that said, visualize your natural birth and all the things that you want and kind of believe in it. And it was like very law of attraction-esque. And so I reached out to her because I was like, okay, here's the thing. I had a C-section. It's very easy for me to visualize a C-section because I've had a C-section, but I've never had a natural birth. So how do I visualize one if I've never had one? If I've never experienced it? Yes. Like the emotion behind it, all of that stuff. Like I feel a lot of anxiety and fear when it comes to potentially ending in a C-section. But, I really, really want to attract this natural labor, but I don't know I need someone to almost describe it for me because I don't understand what it would feel like. Right. How do you visualize something that you've never experienced before? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, isn't that the age-old question?
It is, and that I just listened to that. Yeah? Yeah, it was just,
Well, you can circle back around to it if you want.
Yeah. There's a baby outside her.
I can hear her.
Laughing. So cute.
Yeah, I can hear him outside the door.
But it's a really quick thing. So Catherine, who we've been talking about a lot on our podcast, she just says, people ask her that question, like, how do I visualize something that I've never had before, like a 7-bedroom mansion or a yacht that takes me to Monaco or whatever it is that you want. Right. How do I visualize that if I've never had it? Like, how do I imagine those feelings if I've never had it? Right. How do I imagine the feeling of having $1 million in my bank account if I've never had it? Right. Like, and she's like, you just have to pretend. You just have to pretend.
Right. Like
how it
like
feels.
A little kid.
Yeah, like pretend how exactly. Like, just guess. Just guess how it feels. Like, just pretend to know how it feels. Like, you're not going to be wrong. Right. Right? Like, it prevents people from visualizing because they're just stuck on the what feeling will I feel. Just make one up. Like, just make it up.
Have fun with it.
Yeah, like, you probably feel excited. You probably feel, right? Like, accomplished, or in your situation, right? Like, you'd probably feel elated or light or,
well, and that's just it. And that's what, so the creator of the program, I don't even know how she had time to do this, but she created an audio file for me describing like natural birth and how it feels.
So nice.
I know. Like
that's so
she's
nice.
A busy lady. It's not like she's like got like 10 clients. Like, she's super busy and her business is growing like crazy right now, and I'm just I'm just so happy that this program exists, and like, it's just doing such a service to, I could talk about it all day long, but she's awesome. Anyway, she sent me an audio of it, and it was so good. Like, the first time I heard it, I cried from start to finish, because it was so, like,
I cried.
Well described, and like, yeah, like,
it's not something that I'm like thinking about or that I want. Yeah. You know, like, yeah. I'm not looking for a feedback. Like, I don't have kids. I've never.
Right.
And I was crying.
Yeah. She just gets like really emotional while she's describing how it goes. And it was just so helpful, like such a helpful aid in being like, you know, it's like almost like you could hear her tearing up when she's talking about it, you know, like, and how empowering and beautiful and amazing all of it is. So anyway, that was a huge, huge help. I didn't listen to it every day by any means. I just listened to it kind of when I felt inspired. But that was really helpful because I was going through the motions. I was feeling the emotions that she was kind of describing to me, and like giving me like an audio birth plan. I don't know. It worked. Anyway, so that was really helpful. But yeah, again, if you're pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, look up this chick. She's incredible. I'm hoping she listens to this at some point.
We should tag her.
Okay. We will.
Okay.
So Christmas happened, and then the due date was January 3rd. And so that final week before, that's the other thing with VBACs too, they get nervous around the due date, because once you go over, again, they're worried about, the whole thing about VBACs is that they're worried about uterine rupture, because you have a scar on your uterus and your stomach from them cutting you open. That scar can rupture during labor if the mother or the baby is stressed, which to me didn't freak me out, because the last labor that I had, the baby didn't show any signs of stress at all, even though I was pushing for who God knows how long. Right. Like, it could have been a stressful labor, but I was not stressed. Right. It went way longer than it should have, and I just was not going to let it stress me out. Right. And so the baby was fine. So I'm like, if I can do that, and this baby's head down and everything's good to go. Right. I'm not worried about it. And I'd fully dilated in the last labor too, so I wasn't worried about that. Like, there were all these things that were working for me. Right. And then the visualization, like, I just felt like I had a lot going for me, and that was really helping in my manifestation stuff. So the night before I went into labor, well, actually the week, I was doing all the things out of this program to like try and induce labor, like, naturally. So there's like certain things that you should do, like you take evening primrose oil and you eat a certain amount of dates, and like there's like this whole like protocol that you do. But the most effective is sex. I was like, she's pausing because she's gonna say something. Yeah. That's the most effective way to induce labor for multiple reasons. For like a lot of reasons that I won't go into. But why not? Oh my God. There's so many things. Like, it's like oxytocin levels, endorphins, anytime you sort of stimulate the area down there in any type of sexual activity, the blood's rushing to all of those organs and like kind of getting them ready and like psyching them up. It's crazy. Like, and then this is gonna get kind of gross, but the semen loosens the cervix, right? So it makes it like easier for the baby. Like, it's honestly like the best thing that you can do, which is funny because when you're in your third trimester and you're the size of a whale, there are no sex positions that you can do. Like, I'm sorry guys, I hope there's no kids in the car and you're listening to this. Maybe we should put a disclaimer. Yeah, so it's it's the best thing that you can do, and it's so hard to like not convince your partner, but you're kind of like, hey, like, you don't look your sexiest, I guess, depending on your partner. Maybe you don't feel your sexiest, I don't know. Anyway, so the night before we watched this really great show on Apple Plus, called The Morning Show. Guys, it's so good. If you have Apple Plus, Apple TV, get it, watch it. it's a game changer.
It's with Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell.
Yeah,
it's really good.
And other brilliant actors.
Yeah.
It's really, really, really well done. So we were up till like 1 a.m. watching.
Yeah, because we had just finished watching
the season finale.
So every episode we watched together, we'd have a discussion after. But because it was the season finale, obviously there was a huge discussion.
Really nerdy. You just glossed over that. Every episode we watch, we have this huge discussion after. People don't do that though. We're really nerdy.
We're nerdy.
Yeah.
But we have told, if you had listened in previous episodes, which I mean, maybe you haven't.
Maybe not.
We really like film and we really like media and we dissect it and talk about it and we're nerdy about it.
Yes.
We went to Toronto and saw a show because the composer wasn't even there.
No.
It was an orchestra.
Yeah. One of our favorite composers.
Performing the score for a movie. If you don't know what a score is, it's just the music behind the film, right? So we're super nerdy. Anyways, so we talked about that show for a long time, an hour or so. So it was 2-ish in the morning that we went to bed.
Yeah. 1:30, I think.
Ugh, so dumb now when I think about it.
Yeah.
That was so dumb.
It was really dumb because, and then...
It's so dumb. I was just whatever, isn't it great that we can stay up till 2 and not worry about anything? I can just stay up till 2.
Oh my God. And then I instigated with my partner.
Oh.
Which we didn't have time for.
No.
It was so late. So, yeah. So now it's all adding up and making sense because 2 hours later.
Yeah.
We went to bed and then 2 hours later I woke up with the strongest Braxton Hicks contraction that I'd felt and I was like, oh no. Here we go. And so I was using the contraction app counter and it was after about half an hour of it and then I was stuck on the toilet. I couldn't get off.
Yeah.
Because my bowels were emptying and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. So I had to wake up Mason and then he was kind of okay, is this go time? And I'm like, it might be, but stand by.
Yeah.
And then I started to have to focus on them and they were getting more intense and I was like, oh, it's happening.
Yeah.
It's happening. Sound the alarm.
Yeah.
Wake the troops. So he went and woke you up and then we had to call his parents to come.
Yeah.
And then we called the midwife. And so this was during an ice storm too.
Mm-hmm.
Ontario was having an ice storm. Awesome. I guess maybe our section of Ontario was having the worst of it.
Yeah.
And so we call the midwife and she's like, okay, I'll come to your house and check you there. And then if it's, progressing, then we'll go to the hospital. She calls us back 5 minutes later and it's the roads are too bad. I'm just going to meet you at the hospital. We're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
Which in hindsight was good because I was progressing quickly.
Yeah. So from my perspective, Mason came and woke us up. He said, hey, I think Micki's having contractions, just letting you know. And it's so calm or whatever that you're like, maybe this isn't real. Maybe he's just telling me this, right? But I woke up. I went to the bathroom. And so I went to the bathroom, pee. Then I came. The reason I say pee is because that didn't take me long. That was my point.
Right.
I came into your room, and you're over the sink, and you're like your eyes are just glazed over, and you're really breathing, and you're like, what is happening? And I'm like, okay, this is happening, and
it's progressing.
You are progressing really quickly.
Yeah.
And we have to do things
and
now.
I was packing because we hadn't fully packed our hospital bag. We were a bit of a gong show.
Yeah. It happened so fast.
I was brushing my teeth and in the shower.
It happened
doing
really
all
fast.
These things, but it was progressing really quickly.
And the freaking ice storm. So I go in and tell Nick, I'm like, hey, we're packing a bag. This is happening. Go de-ice the cars.
Right.
Or the car.
Right.
So he's like, okay, jumps and gets his clothes on and then he stayed here with George.
Yeah. It was pretty intense, leaving the house and going to the hospital. Having the contractions as I was leaving my room, going to the driveway were getting more intense.
Yeah.
This is going really fast.
Yeah.
And I'm
You're
the driveway.
Is the car ready? I'm like,
yeah.
Is the car ready?
She's yelling out the door. Aw, your husband. Aw, our boys. So I'm in the driveway and Nick's holding my hand. I had to stop and have a contraction in the driveway. in this crazy ice storm, like ice pellets are like coming down. And then like as soon as I looked outside, the first words out of my mouth was, man, this baby's dramatic. Like this is a dramatic baby. I don't know who it is, but like really, like we're gonna go into labor during an ice storm, because that's how all good labor stories start. Yeah. Right? Like it's like, was this 1950? Like, oh my god. Anyway, so we go to the hospital, and it was good because no one was on the road, so that worked out well. That's true. We had our 4-ways on really good. Yeah. We get to the hospital, and it's like early in the morning at this point. So I think like the first contractions started at like 3:30, 4 in the morning. We get to the hospital at 5:30, and you run out and grab a wheelchair. Yeah. Because Mason
drove in the wrong way.
Wrong spot. Oh my god. And then like wheeled me right up to labor and delivery. They definitely heard me before they saw me. Yeah. For sure, because at this point I was like really moaning through these contractions. You can like hear by this story how quickly this is progressing. Yeah. And then once we got to the room, and our midwife was there, which was great. It was really nice to see her because I was like, okay, good.
Like we're in good hands. Safe.
Yeah. Like we can do this now. Right. Because up until that point, I was like, no. Don't progress too quickly, because like I need to be in a safe space. So we got to the room, and from there it happened pretty quickly. Like I was standing kind of against the bed, and one of the things they teach you in the Love Your Labor course is counter pressure from either a doula or a partner or a friend or whatever. So Mace was doing that with me, my husband, and that was, I can't even explain how much that helps. Like actually cuts the pain in half or more.
That's
like
crazy.
It's incredible. And it was just this like hip one, like he just was pushing my hips inwards and upwards kind of through each contraction, and it like it's honestly like with these, there's so many other methods too that this program teaches you, and it's like acupressure points and like all these other things, but that for me was what worked the best. And it's like it is the reason you can do it without pain meds. Yeah, like that's how you do it. Right. Because I see how women would get pain meds if they didn't know they could do this. Right. Because that's how painful it is when it's not happening.
So my question is, because obviously I'm in the room, so you had your husband Mason, me, and Nick in the room. Yeah. So Nick was with George, but then grandparents came over, and then Nick came to the hospital. So the four of us and midwives are in this room. Yeah. So obviously I have a unique perspective. Yeah. From my perspective, when you're having a contraction and he's pushing against your hips, you're still making the same sound. Yeah. So it doesn't seem like the pain has changed. Right. So what? It has. How can you?
So I'll explain. Okay. So when the contraction starts, you feel a little bit of panic because you don't know how much more intense it's going to be. Okay. Than the last one. Mm-hmm. So there's this moment of like, I don't know, this is going to go, right? So you can even tell in my own voice, right? It starts as like a panicked high, right? Like when you're like moaning through them, or, you know, some women have different audio tactics, but I moan through mine.
It's kind of like an om. Yeah. There's like a vibrational sound. It's like a constant sound that comes out. Like, I don't know. You weren't saying om, but that's like how I felt. That was the vibration that I was getting. Yeah. Yeah. Right?
But it would start as a like, you know, like it starts as like a panicked like you know, until he did the pressure, and then I could find a sweet spot and stay there. Right. Right. So it's still painful. Like there's still pain. Mm-hmm. It's just not nearly as intense as when he's not doing the counter pressure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the pain is still there, but it's controlled. I felt control over it. Okay. I didn't feel panic over it. Right. In the beginning, you feel a bit of panic.
I see.
But then when you have the support and the strength, and it's cut in half, and it's not peaking anymore, it's just staying. Right. Then you can just ride it.
Right. I see. Yeah. Right. Like you feel like you have your tool. Yeah. I don't know, your surfboard.
Your security.
Or whatever it is. Yeah. Like whatever. Yep. You have got your security blanket, and it just feels like...
Feels good.
Feels better.
Feels really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how you answer that question.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, there's different things that I tried. I thought, like, because I've heard water cuts the pain in half as well, but as soon as I got in the shower, I was panicking because Mace couldn't. I was too slippery. Like, he couldn't, like.
And it's a small shower. It was a small shower.
It was too small.
Like, he can't get in there and like
it wouldn't have worked.
No.
Which is fine. So I got back out, and then I basically labored on all fours on the bed for another like hour and a half.
Couple hours. Yeah, your labor was.
It's 5 total.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
And you
pushed, which is crazy,
for an hour?
Because I was manifesting 4 to 6 hours, and I think I said that in a previous podcast.
Maybe.
I want to say that I did, because that was what I wanted.
Okay.
I was manifesting 4 to 6. I kept saying 4 to 6, 4 to 6, and it was 5.
Right.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. They had to break your water.
They did.
So
that was really helpful.
Yeah.
I didn't want any interventions. Like, I would have preferred to just let my body do its thing naturally, but when they suggested that, and the pressure was starting to feel like really overwhelming. When she did break them, though, that she said like not a lot came out.
Yeah.
Like, it did break, but like it wasn't a lot of fluid that came out.
Yes.
It was a lot later.
Yes.
I think it must have been like squished in some way. I'm not really sure.
Right.
But yeah, it wasn't like anything crazy. But it did help. Like, she did break my water, and that did help.
Well, and she said, like, it's up to you if whether or not you want me to break your water, but she's like, I think it would relieve pressure, but it also will speed things up.
Yeah.
Like, if you're willing to be, if you can handle more intensity or whatever, that's about to happen.
Yeah. Which is what I wanted at that point. Like, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Because right now I feel like I'm at a standstill.
Right.
And, like, I can handle
and you were
more.
Reporting, I don't want to say complaining because that's not it. You were saying that you felt a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And
and she was asking. Like, she's like, you feel pressure? I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, lots of pressure. And it was like, it was like uncomfortable. Like, I'm like, something needs to be done here. I was just hoping the waters would break on their own. But
of course.
They didn't, but that's fine. So yeah, she did that. And then, things progressed much faster. And the baby was born at 8:56 on December 30th.
Mm-hmm. How was pushing? We were talking about contractions. What was pushing like?
Oh yeah, I guess I should go back to pushing. Pushing was great.
Okay.
Pushing was awesome. Highly recommend pushing. Yeah, it's weird. There were a lot of things that I didn't anticipate about pushing because I'd never pushed before, obviously. And so the breaks in between the contractions.
Yeah. Were they different?
Yes. They were different than the breaks in active labor.
Okay. So in contractions where you're not pushing, you're just like
it's just your uterus contracting, your cervix opening.
Right.
Yeah.
Those breaks were different.
Yes.
Than the pushing breaks.
That's right.
Okay.
Which I was not expecting.
Right.
Right.
And you've never had that before.
No.
And when she broke your water, that's when pushing started to happen.
Yeah. Well, I was already starting to push before that.
Right.
But nothing was happening.
Right.
Because the bag's water was in the way.
Right.
So she broke it, and then I actually got some traction.
Right.
Could move the baby down. So cool.
Yeah. So what's pushing like?
So cool. You feel, well, I guess if you're not medicated, you feel everything opening. You can feel your hips widening. You can feel your pelvis like opening.
That's crazy.
It's wild. It's cool though. Like, I don't know how to explain it. There's no other like feeling to like associate it with. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing else that you'd.
Does it, if it feels like it's opening, like you said, you feel like your pelvis is opening. Did you feel the sensation of it moving? Did that hurt?
No. There's pressure, but it's like, doesn't feel bad. It feels good. Mm. And then, so it was really neat because I'd feel a contraction coming, and then the midwives would be like, okay, that feeling right there. Like, there was like a certain moment where they could tell I was like feeling something or pushing or something. I don't know how they knew, but they knew once I was in a groove of pushing, or like where the sweet spot was for how I should be pushing. I don't know how they knew, but they knew.
That's so cool.
Because they would say right there, that right there. And it was like either a sound or what they saw or both. I'm not sure. They'd like feel into that, lean into that, push into that. And that helped so much.
Wow. Because
they could tell where I was. I don't know. That was cool. And then yeah, there was no pain when I was pushing with a contraction.
Wow.
So, like, you'd have the breaks.
Yeah.
The contraction would start and you'd feel some pain. But then once you started to push into it, no pain.
Wow.
Pressure.
Yeah.
But no pain.
Wow.
I know.
So no pain on breaks.
No pain on breaks.
And no pain when you're pushing.
That's right.
A little bit of pain when it's like, oh, I'm having another contraction.
Right. It starts to push. Come up. Yeah, but then you start to get excited. Because the more they come, the more you're like, yeah, I want another opportunity to push because it feels so good.
Right.
To push because you feel progress. You can feel the head moving. You can feel the body of the baby moving.
Right.
So it's like exciting.
Yeah.
And there's no pain.
Right.
What? That was really cool.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously pain like in the quote unquote like ring of fire when the baby's head is like crowning.
Yeah.
That's where you feel pain. But yeah, it was painful. Not as painful as I thought it was going to be from what other people had described. And it's called the ring of fire for a reason. Like, you're going to expect it to sting.
Right.
Right? Like, I was anticipating all of that.
Right.
But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Like, I guess maybe my imagination was worse than what it could have been. I don't know. But the other thing, too, is the midwives were really great in saying, like, this is good, right? Like, you're stretching really well. Like, don't panic. Like, you're in a good place. Like, trust your body. Like, they're saying all the right, wonderful things.
Yeah.
So you just, embrace the stinging. You just embrace it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's good. It's all good.
This is the normal.
Yeah.
It's normal to feel this.
Yeah.
It's normal to feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't think the head was there for very long.
No.
It felt quick.
It did.
The actual pushing of the baby out
I think it probably was like 15 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. From
when you could see it a little bit
to
then it coming out.
Yeah. Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
I think.
And you'd moved onto your back at this point.
Yeah.
Which is something that you weren't expecting to do.
No. And that was really nice. Because my arms and legs were really sore from being on all fours.
Yeah.
So it was nice to just rest on my back. But I definitely didn't anticipate that because I figured gravity would
be
really helpful in the final pushes. But what?
Yeah.
It's not the way it happened. But yeah, that was really neat. It's funny, like, I didn't see you guys at all because I was totally in my own, like, zen zone. But you guys had, like, a front row seat.
Row.
Your husband has seen more crevices in my body.
Yeah, he's seen every square inch of you.
He even had to step in at one point when Mason had to use the washroom.
Yeah.
He had to come over. I'm not wearing any clothes. Like, I'm, like, full-on carnal animal. Like, graphic fluids. Like, it's the full deal.
Yes.
And he jumped up on the bed behind to push my hips. Oh my god, he's the real MVP. Let's be real. Okay. So
yeah, not the one who was pushing for hours and brought life into this planet.
No.
Nick's the real MVP.
He's the real MVP for pressuring for his sister-in-law.
I kind of talked to him a little bit, like, not a little bit, but we talked about it afterwards, and he's like, I'm just a very logical person, so when I see that, it doesn't freak me out because I'm like, this makes sense to me, right? Like, this is what labor looks like. This is what he's like, it doesn't freak me out. It's just this, logically, this is what it looks like, and logically, this is what happens.
Right.
So he's just purely looking at it from, like, a very educational perspective.
Well, and
it's like, it was crazy. It was.
Yeah.
But, like, that's what makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And when I needed someone to be there to do it, I needed someone strong to do it.
Right.
And, like, because, Mason says it takes every bit of strength that you have. It's not like light pressure. Like, he's like, it's
well, his arms are shaking every time, and he sweats.
Yeah. Like, it's all
he needs water.
Yeah, he has to take breaks.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah.
It's definitely a team effort.
Yeah.
Like, this whole natural labor thing, it's not something I did by myself. Serious team effort. Anyway, so yeah, so the head was out, and I knew the head was out, and then the midwife was like, do you feel another contraction coming? And I was like, I think so, but it was like kind of taking its time. But then it finally did come. I think the baby's head was sitting there for at least a minute.
Yeah.
Like, just hanging out, not breathing, which is weird.
Yeah.
And then, she...
the hand was...
Yeah, so that was the next part is, like, when I was about to push the shoulders out, the hand was stuck, like, up behind.
Yeah.
So it got a little kind of scary.
His hand was on his face. So, like, his head was... I just said... its head.
Well, that's ruined.
I'm sorry. Its head.
It's a boy. We'll come to that later.
So its head was like halfway. It wasn't fully out. It wasn't like a whole head sticking out. Like it was like there. But she noticed that his hand was on his face.
Right.
So she had to go in there.
Yeah.
Which was
get
so
the elbow,
crazy.
Get the elbow out. Yeah. So that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah. But not for you?
Yeah, well, not nerve-wracking, just like uncomfortable. Because I could feel like it's not like it's already stretched.
Yeah.
So like having space for her to go in and like pull an arm out, like that was like this, it was hurting a bit. Like it was.
A bit?
It was uncomfortable, yeah.
Like it was, yeah.
But at that point, I mean, it was all...
It was pretty fast.
Everything was it was so quick.
Yeah.
Like, it barely felt like any... Like, it was just, like, just help. Just get it out, you know?
Right.
And then, like, so she did, and then it was out, and
it
was all fine. So the baby's on my chest, and I'm, like, freaking out, of course, because we did it.
Yay!
Right? It was so exciting that we did it. And then... I'm, like, laughing and crying and kissing Mason, and, like, holy crap, this happened. And then there's a blanket over me and the baby's on my chest. And I'm like, has anyone seen what this is? Like, does anyone know what this is? Because it, like, minutes went by. Like, it was like an extended period of time.
So happy that you did it.
There was a baby.
Well, that you had that experience. Like, not only did you push, not only did you have, like, all this great labor, but that baby was on your chest.
Yeah. The visualization
so
happened.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know? I was so... happy for you that you had that baby on your chest.
Right.
From like canal to chest.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Nowhere else did that baby go, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it was cool. Because the last time they took the baby away.
Right. Yeah. So I was really, really happy for you. Like
crap.
It was really nice.
It was.
Mm-hmm. So we just relished in that moment.
Yeah, all of us. Midwives, like nobody looked.
No.
Like nobody
we were just like, who cares?
Yeah. The baby's here, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then, I asked everybody and nobody knew. So I was like, all right. So then I was like feeling under the blanket, just feeling down. And then was like, oh dear God, there's no way this is a friggin' boy. Like, can somebody look? Like, are we sure it's not like swollen genitals? Like, can we just like make sure? And yeah, sure enough, I'm like, that is a fucking boy. What? Like, the whole time, I'm still not over it.
I agree with you.
It's been almost a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I still can't believe that that's a boy.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Floored. Ouija board was wrong. On multiple
Ouija
accounts.
board was wrong on gender, name, and date.
Yeah.
What does this mean, guys?
It means a lot of things.
What does this mean? Ugh.
It's fine.
Is it?
So,
we have not had this conversation.
No, I know. I have thoughts about it though.
Okay, well, we need to have a separate podcast for that.
Yeah. So it was crazy. Like, I don't know. I still believe this child has a very strong feminine side. I don't know what that means yet, but I'm just floored still.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I had felt
it was a girl.
Very
yeah, I did too.
Presence.
I did too.
Very feminine.
It felt different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. Really weird. Anyway, so now we are, baby's almost a month old, and I'm not sleeping at all. There's going to be gaps in this story that I'm going to, like, listen to this later and be like, oh, I should have said that or whatever, but I'm somewhat delirious.
I think you did amazing to tell that story.
Thanks.
Yeah. Are you going to tell us his name?
Oh, yeah. His name is Charles Edward Pike. And he was 8 pounds. 8 pounds, 4 ounces. Yeah. He plans Francis, which was smaller than his brother. But yeah, so now I am the mother of 2 boys under 2.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the reason why we wanted to tell this story, like, not only have we been talking about it up until this point, but I believe that the whole progression, all the steps, almost everything that you've been talking about has a lot to do with manifestation and life. And it's just so...
Oh, it's the perfect metaphor.
It's so weird that it's a metaphor for life, because you are giving life. So is it really a metaphor? Like, it's just such a...
Yeah.
It's an amazing way of looking at how we get through life.
Yeah, and all of the challenges and obstacles that we come across.
And how you choose to view things, which will help you along your way. So instead of choosing to perceive pain as a negative thing and something that should be avoided and you need medication and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think we're saying don't use medication.
No.
Like, that's not what we're saying.
You do you. That should be a disclaimer on this whole thing.
Right.
Like, just because this is my experience and what I chose to do doesn't mean that we're advocating that anybody do what they're not comfortable doing.
Exactly.
Like, you do you listen to your body. If you need pain meds, if you need an epidural, if you want a C-section, if you want to do it, however you want to do it, good on ya.
Yeah.
Like, just advocate for what you want. That's the only thing I would say.
Right.
Just make sure you fight for what you want. It's your body, your life, your baby. You do you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's important.
Yes. But in your situation, you chose to perceive your world, your reality, in a different way. And I think you chose to use love and excitement and joy as painkillers and as motivators and as, like, a way for you to actually have your dreams become reality. And I think that's just, it's so awesome, like, I have been coming across this saying that's, you don't have to grow through struggle, which is something that I have been previously I've been experiencing that. Like, I've grown through struggle, and I think growing can be painful or can be challenging or whatever. It can be uncomfortable. I think that's the word. Growing can be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I guess you just have to choose. You have the option of choosing how you see it.
Right.
And I would rather grow through love.
Yeah.
That sounds way better to me than growing through pain.
Yeah.
Right? And fear. Like, I'd much rather grow through love. Who wouldn't? Right? Like, why do we have to grow through fear?
Well, I think especially when you equate it to labor, one of the biggest, like, ingredients, I'm going to use that, in labor, in order to have a successful labor, is trust. Trusting is so important. And we've talked about this before, and how it's hard for me to trust the universe, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like a stranger or someone that I have to get to know.
Right.
In this case, it was trusting my body, and I was working really hard on that leading up to the labor. Like, I had that cards, Divine Guidance cards deck, and there were 2 cellular healing cards in the deck, which is weird, right? Like, why are there 2 cards of the same in the deck? That's weird. But I took it as a sign that my body had healed, and then I could trust it, right? Like, the uterine scar had healed, and I could trust it.
Okay.
So I left the second card out of the deck just on my nightstand.
Okay.
And I would see it when I went to bed.
That's awesome.
And it was like, your body's healed, don't worry about it.
That's amazing.
Right? Like, you can trust your body. It's okay.
Right.
It knows what it's doing. It's healed. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the things going into it. Like, another kind of side note in the story, in the labor story, is that the midwives, they have to have a fetal monitor on you at all times.
Right.
In a VBAC, because if the baby shows any signs of stress, that's a sign of a uterine rupture.
Right.
And they have to go in and get the baby, and it's, like, all scary and stuff. But so they have, like, the belt on you, right? For some reason, the belt wasn't fitting on me. So after every contraction, they'd have to go in and, like, adjust it. Sometimes during a contraction. And, like, the last thing you want is people touching you during a contraction. You just want people to fuck off.
Right.
Right? Like, you want to do your own thing. Which is why I like the idea of a home birth better. Because it's like, don't touch me. had like a port put in for IV just in case something went wrong, and then they get it like, you know, there's all these things, like all of these protocols, right, that are all just in case something goes wrong. So all of those could go to your head easily. Right. Yes. Like, I might have to use this, I might have to do that, They keep checking the fetal monitor. Why are they checking the fetal monitor? Is everything okay? Blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Right? Like, there's all these things that could go. And I was just like, no. Like, this fetal I know this fetal monitor is just for liability. I know this fetal monitor is to make them feel better, because I know this baby's fine. Right? And it's the same way with the first labor. Like, there was no signs of distress from the baby at all. And that's because I wasn't stressed. I was physically stressed. My body was like, ugh. Yeah. This sucks. You know, like, I don't want to push anymore. Blah. Like, my body was having a hard time with it. But I wasn't freaked out about it, right? And it was the same situation. Like, the pain amped up and all of that stuff, but I was just like, eh.
But
like,
that's normal.
That's all supposed to happen.
Right.
And if it's going to be a quick labor, yes, ideally it does happen like that.
Right.
So.
Like, bring it on.
Yeah, I was like, bring it on.
Yeah.
Because the more intense means it's almost over.
Yeah.
Right? And, you know, Mason the odd time was leaning up and kissing my cheek and saying, like, the baby's almost here. Oh, my God. Like, we're going to meet this baby.
He was doing, like, a little happy dance. Like, he did one little happy dance.
He was excited.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how it should be, right?
Yeah.
He was super involved, super active, super supportive. Like, such a strong role in the labor altogether, which a lot of husbands don't realize that they can have.
Right.
And it's, like, it's such a cool experience. But there's the point of all of that being, I trusted my body, and I trusted the process, and I trusted, like, divinely what was supposed to happen.
Right.
At one point I did have a conversation with Abe. I was like, okay, I know you're here, and I know all my spirit guides are here, and I know I've got generations and generations of women before me, clearly, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Who've done this. So I was like calling everybody to like come down and help. Right? Like move things along or ease the pressure or make it easy or whatever. Like I was calling and trusting that it would all kind of work out. Right. And I think like that's such an important part of this whole manifestation process. Trusting and then allowing it to just happen. Because there were some parts where my body was pushing for me, which was such a cool experience too. Like you push, but there were parts, I don't know if you could hear it, but like my breath would disappear. Like it'd go, right? Like it was like pushing, but I wasn't, or I was breathing and then it would just go, my breath would disappear.
Right.
That was my body pushing for me, which I, again, wasn't expecting. I didn't know it would do that. So like that was really cool too. It was like trusting and allowing that the body just knows what it's doing. Right? Source knows what it's doing. The universe knows what it's doing. Just like stop pushing. Right? It'll do it for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Push when it feels natural. Push when it's inspired. Push when the contraction starts.
Right.
And then push through it.
Right.
And then take the break.
Yeah.
And enjoy the break. I was even laughing at one point. I think there was like, somebody made a joke and I like laughed.
Well, because Nick and I were sitting right there. And the way we were sitting, it was as if we were watching a movie. And like, pass the popcorn. You know what I mean? So like, that was funny.
Serious entertainment.
Yeah, but you're right. You're so right. Like, and you know, there's so many freaking metaphors in this. This is what I'm hoping that people get out of this. It isn't just about you
explaining,
which is so fascinating. Like, I'm totally into that. But that's not only why.
Well, that's not why we're sharing this story.
Right. Like, but it's not only why we're sharing it. Like, there's so many cool things. So when you said like it felt good to push. That's how it's supposed to feel.
Right.
So, like, when you take inspired action,
you
can't think about doing anything else because it feels so good to do it. Right? Like, you're just like, I'm on the right path. This feels right. I know I should be doing this. This is what, and like...
You're elated.
You're so happy that you get to do that inspired action. Because sometimes we also view action as hard work and as a struggle, and it totally can be that way. But if you're lucky enough to be doing something that you actually want and that you enjoy, it's not work and it's not a struggle.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Which is how you've described your labor.
Right.
Yeah.
It was fun. I've used that word before. I'm like, dare I say? Dare I say my labor was fun?
I mean, if I showed people what actually happened, like on the outside, you'd be like...
It doesn't look fun.
No.
I've
like,
seen
you'd
it.
be like,
it doesn't
what?
look fun.
How is this the story that she has?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how does she perceive it like this?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And I've seen it. Like, I've seen what it looks like. It doesn't look fun.
And I know you. Mm-hmm. And I know that you're fine. Right? So, like...
Right.
It's not really
I would tell
like
you
that
if I
shocking.
wasn't. Like, in the labor, I would say this doesn't feel right or blah, blah, blah. Like, I would have gone into it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't scared.
No. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, if you ever have a chance to see a live birth, I would recommend it.
Yeah.
It's
ideally
cool.
With someone that's not afraid of it.
Right. Like someone
like if you're with someone that's having a... Because we've been involved in the labor where the woman was not having a good time.
Right.
And it's really hard to watch because the pain isn't being managed properly and like they're getting
so much fear
and it's so much fear and there is a better way, you know, like there's so much. I would gladly have a conversation with anyone that wanted to have a conversation about it. Like, seriously, if you're pregnant and you hear this and you need some encouragement, send us a message because I'll send you all the stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, having the education and the empowerment in the program and the community of women that is associated with like, there's so much knowledge and support to help you. But again, that's just about labor, but that could be applied to all this manifestation stuff as well. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so much information on it now. There's so many people that can help with specific struggles, and like a lot of it is just knowledge and support and empowerment and love.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And like just good feeling vibes all around. Like, it's like that's kind of the key to all of it, is just trusting and knowing and leaning into the safety and the security and the trust of it all.
That's really cool.
It is. It's still a lesson for me. It's so funny because I find that applying the trust to the process of labor was easy.
Yes. I totally see that on you.
Yeah.
And when you talk about trust, because I know that you have difficulties with it, it surprises me.
Yeah.
You know, that you're just like, I trust that this...
Well, I trust in biology, right? Okay. I trust in the evolution of our bodies.
Right. You have 7 billion examples of it happening. People
doing it all over the earth right now.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen videos where women's bodies just push the baby out.
Right.
A woman theoretically can deliver a baby asleep or like unconscious. The body will push the baby out.
Right.
Like, that's how powerful. So knowing all of that, it's just like, okay, like my body knows what it's doing. Probably more so than doctors can tell me. Right? Like, we're still learning so many things about the body. Like, so that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe but I should apply that. Like, it's like infinite wisdom should be applied in the same category of like, we have years of evolution, or we have like thousands and thousands.
You have a lot of evidence that this stuff works.
Yeah.
But you don't feel,
for some reason,
you're against it, or you're resisting it.
Yeah. Like, it's like I'm only trusting physical.
Maybe though, like, because
proof.
You're pregnant, you're about to have a baby. Maybe there's some like biological kick that's
confidence.
Like, yeah, but maybe, I don't know, maybe not, because we have met scared moms or whatever. So I don't know. You are a lion. You are a Leo.
Yeah.
You do have confidence.
I do.
So I think that's probably helpful.
I know, but I have trouble applying it to this. I don't know.
To this manifesting world, not to having a baby.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm getting better, I think. But being in like, there's pregnancy mode, which I was like super active and really busy, and like work was crazy, and it was just kind of a gong show. And now I've gone into the it's called postpartum, right? I still, like, this is what I mean. I know it's called postpartum. I'm just a space cadet.
You're not. It's kind of crazy,
actually. Space cadet.
It is crazy. You've only had 3 hours sleep, and you're having conversations.
3 hours sleep for a month.
Yeah.
It's not like, I only had 3 hours sleep last night. It's like
no, every day. This is my life. Yeah.
And not to mention, I'm being like completely depleted
of your energy,
of all of my nutrients. Yeah. My hair is like getting dry. It's like falling out. Like, it's like all of the things that happen postpartum are like happening. And it's winter and there's no sun.
It's just super dry.
Yeah, it's like one thing.
You can't really go out. You can't do anything.
No, I've been
cooped up.
Yeah, I've just been going through the motions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely I'm in a different mindset. I'm definitely in like the rest and relaxation mindset. Like I haven't been motivated to like listen to any podcasts or read any books or do anything. It's just like I wake up, I do basic survival things, like I eat. I haven't showered in 4 days.
Right.
Like why haven't I showered?
You can shower. It's not that you can't shower. It's just that you're not motivated to. No. You're just like, I just don't care.
I just want to go back to bed.
Yeah.
Which is what I've been doing.
Yeah.
I wake up, I feed, I eat, I go back to bed.
Right.
It's basically what I've been doing. Oh my God. And like, I'm not complaining. Maybe it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining that this is the life I'm living now. Oh my God. This is my life. Yeah, but I mean, I have it so good. Like, I'm not, there's so many women that are dealing with all this and have to go to work.
Or do it alone.
I'll never understand.
Single moms.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's no wonder they go crazy.
Yeah.
Seriously. Postpartum depression is a serious, 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 serious thing. For realsies. Like, I've had dips of like a bad mood or a bad day, but I have all the support in the world.
Right.
Like, I have the village. I have literally a couple living with me.
Yeah.
And my husband. We have family. We have like everything. Like, and I'm having a hard time. Like, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
There should be riots in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. In the States, I mean. Well, maybe a bit here. Our maternity leave payment is absolute crap, but at least we get it. And job security. Okay, that's a completely different rant. I need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's like a very, very long-winded way of explaining this whole law of attraction manifestation process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
I'm glad that you loved it.
Yeah, I did.
It was very graphic.
It was very graphic. It was. But I wasn't scarred by it. Like, it wasn't,
that's good.
like, I don't know. It was fascinating being on the other side. One thing. And I felt so stupid.
Oh, no.
Well, like, I just felt embarrassed because about a couple hours after you had the baby, during labor, now that I think about it, during your labor, my hip started to hurt.
Oh, yeah. Sympathy pain.
And then, like, a couple hours after the baby was born, like, you're, in the hospital bed, and I was like, my hips are radiating. Like, both of my hips are, like, aching. Like, I had growing pains when I was little, and that was the feeling in my hips. And I was like, oh my God.
Funny, because that's how my hips felt.
And I felt so lame.
You're like, I'm so tired and I'm so sore.
Like, I was so tired.
Yeah.
I had less than 2 hours sleep. My hips were aching so bad, I had to take painkillers. Then I woke up with a fever.
Yeah, you did. And you were really sick.
And I was really sick for a week. Yeah. So I felt like, how do you watch somebody give birth, like, experience like a spiritual amount of pain, go through a spiritual experience, talking to Abe and like, man, like, how do you watch something like that and then moments later
be like, I need to go home.
I need to go home. I need to go lie down and I need painkillers for my hips. Wow. Like, I just felt like I was so frustrated with myself, and I think that made it worse. I think I gave myself like a cold or whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe. I felt
watching
so
that
stupid.
Really stressed you out, and so you got a cold.
Like, I can't hear these words. I can't. Like, it's just like, it's not fair.
Our house after the baby was born was like locked down. Like, everybody was sick.
Yeah, because of me. Was sick. Like, oh my God, I just can't. Like, I don't
know if it was because of you. Might have been. Maybe not. George did lick a grocery cart handle the week before at Christmas time.
Oh my god.
Like, imagine the germs on that thing, and he was just all over it. So,
I don't know.
He could have brought it into the house because he was really sick too.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a gong show. Yeah, all of that being said, like, I wanted to explain kind of at the beginning of the podcast, like, why we haven't been on here. It's like, yeah, I had a baby, but, like, there was, like, a month before that. But I was sick. Like, the week after all of that went down, I got a cold. And then you had a cold, I think, and Mace had a cold. Nick was fighting one, but he fought it.
Yeah.
So all of that was happening. And then it was Christmas.
Yeah.
And then the baby was born.
Yeah.
And then now all of the non-sleeping and bananas. So, yeah. That's why we haven't been on here for 7 weeks. But we're back.
Yay. I'm really excited.
And we have lots of things to keep talking about.
Yes.
There's like literally a list of things next to Sam right now. So we have homework to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the good kind.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Podcast.
Thank you for coming back if you have been listening or being patient with us.
Yeah.
Or if this is your first time, thank you for listening.
Yeah.
It's a bit of graphic. I don't know.
It was a little bit. Maybe we should do some sort of disclaimer on this one.
Yeah.
Say, like, there's, I don't know. I mean.
It's, I don't know. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
I don't know how other people.
How many podcasts do you listen to where they talk about cervix?
I don't know.
Say the word cervix. Probably not.
Right.
To me, it's just a word, but to some people, it's gonna be like,
right.
Did they just say cervix? This is supposed to be a podcast about money and shit.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about graphic fluids and stuff? Okay. Yeah. Well.
Anyways,
we have lost a follower or two.
So
that's okay. That's okay. We're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So, so we'll be doing some more soon.
I'm on mat leave now, so that ideally would mean we have more time during the day to do this. But
yes.
I'm also a zombie, so.
Right. No,
we'll work between the zombie.
We'll work with it.
Naps.
So if you like this,
like
share it.
Do you like podcasts about labor and
if you like this podcast
manifestation,
share it with your closest friends. Share it with your husband. Oh my god.
No, don't.
Okay. It's
maybe share it with a mom who needs some support.
Yeah.
Or like someone who's pregnant that needs like some motivation.
That's a good idea.
If you know a woman. But we're gonna tag Corinne in this. Hopefully she listens.
Right, and you can learn more about what she has to offer.
Please do.
Yeah.
Yes. Her program's called Love Your Labor.
Mm-hmm.
You can find it, I think, on Facebook. She does a webinar every Wednesday. There's one on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
She's unbelievable. So if you know, even if just one future mom listens to this, I'll be happy.
Right.
And get some kind of like
if you a comment like, hey, this helped.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be so great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for listening. We'll have lots of really interesting content coming up here shortly. We've got a nice little list here. So come back and listen to us.
Have a great day. Have a joyful and abundant day.
Yes. Okay. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.